Nerdy. Despised human student feeds a stray dragon. 45 minutes later, lines of dragons appeared. Beginning. Ethan Corrigan was used to being invisible. At Galvin Theory Academy, the most prestigious and terse PC school on the edge of the Orion Belt, invisible was the best a human could hope for. The school was carved into the sides of an asteroid drifting near a blue dwarf star. Its halls bustled with alien races. Scaled Zevrans, feathered Kryth, and even elusive starborn Serals. But humans were barely tolerated. Ethan was the only human in his class. His thick glasses slipped down his nose. His hands were always ink-stained from note-taking, and his questions in xenobiology seminars were met with groans and eye rolls. When he walked down the corridor, conversations quieted. When he sat down in cafeteria, the table emptied. "Hey, flat ear," sneered Vaylor, a tall Zevran with emerald scales. "One afternoon, you dropped your spine." "Oh, wait, humans don't have any." His friends cackled, their forked tongues flicking in amusement. Ethan said nothing. He never did. Instead, he collected his tray of half-cooked rations and wandered to the one place no one else cared to go, the Academy's outer observation deck. The deck overlooked the asteroid's fractured edge, where jagged rocks met the infinite void. It was quiet there, lonely but peaceful, and that was when Ethan first saw it. Curled behind the jagged steel support beams, hidden in shadow, lay a dragon, not a full-grown one. More like a young drake, lean, hungry-looking, its scales dull and cracked. Its wings twitched, frayed at the edges, as though it had been injured. Dragons were rare. Most of the galaxy had hunted them to near extinction during the Flame Wars, and those who remained usually avoided populated worlds. To see one here, on the Academy's asteroid, was unthinkable. Ethan froze, clutching his tray. The dragon's golden eyes snapped open, pupils like burning slits. Smoke drifted from its nostrils. He should have run. He should have called security. Instead, Ethan slowly crouched, slid his tray forward, and pushed a piece of protein loaf across the floor. The dragon sniffed it, suspicious. Then, with surprising delicacy, it snapped it up. Ethan smiled faintly. "Guess you're hungry, too." The dragon ate again. Its throat rumbled, not a growl, but something softer, almost a purr. For the first time in his life at Galvin Theory Academy, Ethan felt noticed. Middle. Over the next week, Ethan returned to the deck every day. He saved scraps from his meals, half a sandwich, boiled tubers, nutrient bars, and left them for the dragon. Sometimes, he talked while it ate. "They don't like me here," he admitted one night, the stars casting a cold glow over the rocks. "Humans aren't special, I guess. Not strong like the Zevrans. Not clever like the Serals. Just ordinary." The dragon's golden eyes glimmered, unblinking. "But you don't care, do you? You just want food." Ethan chuckled bitterly. "That's fine. At least you don't hate me." The dragon leaned closer that night, letting him touch its cracked scales. They were rough, but warm. A strange bond was forming, something Ethan didn't quite understand. But Galvin Theory Academy was not a place where secrets stayed hidden. On the 12th day, Vaylor and his cronies followed Ethan. They found him kneeling by the dragon, offering a thermos of broth he'd swiped from the cafeteria. Well, Vaylor drawled. "What have we here?" Nerd boy tamed himself a pet. The dragon growled low, wings shifting. Vaylor laughed and hurled a stone. It struck the dragon's side with a crack. The creature roared, smoke pouring from its jaws. Ethan leapt up, shielding it with his own body. "Stop it," he shouted. "Leave it alone." Vaylor sneered. "Move, human. That thing's worth a fortune in scales. We could buy 3 star cruisers with its hide." He reached for his plasma blade. Ethan's heart pounded. He was weak. He was despised. But for once in his life, he refused to be invisible. He stood firm. "You'll have to go through me." There was a tense moment. Then the dragon snapped forward, snarling, fire bursting across the rocks. Vaylor stumbled back, cursing. "This isn't over, worm," he spat, retreating with his gang. Ethan turned to the dragon, panting. You saved me." The dragon lowered its head, pressing its snout against his chest. That was when Ethan noticed something strange. Faint, glowing patterns had appeared on its scales. Lines like constellations, pulsing softly in rhythm with his heartbeat. Revelation. That night, Ethan couldn't sleep. He scoured the Academy's archives, hacking into restricted xenobiology files. What he found left him trembling. Dragons weren't just beasts. They were star-bonded, creatures who could form symbiotic connections with sentient beings. Ancient records told of empires rising and falling with dragon riders who could command entire fleets through their bonded partners. But the records also warned dragons didn't bond with just anyone, only those with a rare resonance. Those overlooked by the stars yet carrying their silence within could forge such a link. Invisible people. People like him. When Ethan returned to the observation deck the next day, the dragon was waiting. It lowered its head, eyes glowing. Ethan hesitated, then placed his hand on its snout. A shock of light rippled through him. For an instant, he felt everything. The dragon's hunger, its pain, its vast loneliness stretching across the void. And beneath it all, a single powerful thread. Trust. Ethan gasped. We're connected. The dragon rumbled in agreement. And then the alarms began to blare. The siege. Galvin Thier Academy was under attack. Pirate ships, sleek and black, descended from the asteroid belt. The Crimson Talons, infamous raiders known for harvesting rare creatures, were here. Ethan's comlink crackled with panicked voices. They're after the Academy vaults. They want the star crystals. Evacuate the upper decks. But Ethan knew better. They weren't here for crystals. They were here for the dragon. He raced the deck. Pirate skiffs were already cutting through the shields, landing on the asteroid's edge. Armed raiders spilled out, weapons gleaming. The dragon snarled, wings unfurling despite their ragged edges. Ethan felt its rage, its fire coursing through him. They'll kill you, Ethan whispered. We have to fight. The dragon crouched low. Ethan climbed onto its back, heart pounding. He'd never ridden anything larger than a hoverbike, but instinct guided him. The bond guided him. When the raiders charged, the dragon leapt skyward. Fire erupted from its jaws, engulfing the landing skiff in a plume of molten metal. Raiders screamed, scattering. Ethan hooped, half terrified, half exhilarated. As the dragon banked, dodging plasma fire, they fought as one, weaving between asteroid spires, flame-scorching enemy hulls. Every movement was shared, every instinct linked, but there were too many raiders. For every ship they burned, two more closed in. Ethan's hope faltered, and then, 45 minutes after their first flight, the sky darkened. Shadows fell across the battlefield. Wings blotted out the stars. Dozens, no, hundreds, of dragons descended from the void. Massive, ancient, resplendent. Their scales shimmered with cosmic light. Their roars echoed like thunder through the vacuum of space. Ethan's dragon roared in answer. The others circled, recognizing the bond. They had come for him. Climax. The pirate fleet faltered. No amount of greed could outweigh the terror of facing a dragon armada. The newcomers tore through the raiders like storms of fire and fury. Ships shattered under talons. Plasma blasts were swallowed by wings of living starlight. The Crimson Talon scattered, fleeing into the black. Ethan clung to his dragon, awestruck. The Academy's defenses had failed, but this was unstoppable. When the last pirate ship fled, silence fell. Dragons hovered in formation, their eyes all turning to him. Ethan swallowed hard. Why are they looking at me? His dragon's voice whispered inside his mind, deep and resonant. Because you fed the lost one. You showed mercy where others showed scorn. You are chosen. Ethan's throat tightened. For so long, he had been invisible. Now an entire species saw him. Ending. The Academy was in ruins. Students whispered what they had seen. Ethan Corrigan, the despised human, riding a dragon at the head of an endless host. Valor no longer sneered. He avoided Ethan's gaze altogether. Professors who once ignored him now spoke with reverence. The headmistress summoned him, her voice trembling. Do you realize what this means? Dragons have returned, and they chose you. Ethan did realize. For the first time, he stood tall, glasses slipping but eyes shining. I'm still just me, he said softly. But maybe being me is enough. That night, as he sat on the observation deck, the bonded dragon curled beside him. Beyond the asteroid's rim, lines of dragons still circled, guardians of the boy who had fed a starving stranger. Ethan smiled into the starlight. He was no longer invisible. He was the bridge between worlds.